and welcome to Football Thunders episode 6. Joining us on this pod, we've got Ryan Scott. Hello, Ryan.
Hello.
How you doing? You all good?
Yeah, not bad. You?
I'm fine. Yeah, despite a few technological bloomers and my my tongue in my mouth not working properly, I think we're getting here in the end. Dan Finch is with us. Evening, Finchy.
Hello, everybody.
How you doing? You good?
Yeah, I mean, the internet's not helping, but apart from that, yeah.
So you're salty about the internet tonight?
I'm salty about everything that's in existence. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's a standard thing that we do, isn't it? This evening, today, on this show, wherever you're listening to it, we'll be looking at the Championship and how it's lining up at the moment. Pep Guardiola, and there's some big news about him today. Phil Jones and Rio Ferdinand. Rio's had a word. Mbappe, there's been an improved offer today, apparently. More about that. And very quickly, Harry Kane, I was wrong. He's staying at Spurs. Although he says I'm staying for the summer. Summer ends in about 3 days. So, you know, day before the transfer window closes. So, hopefully. But Harry, he's made a bit of a twat of himself, do you think? Or his representatives had. What do you think?
Has he really, though?
Yeah.
Has he really?
Yeah.
Has he really? Let me just say this. All we've heard is stuff's been leaked to the press. We haven't had an official statement from Tottenham saying that he missed training and he's been fined. We haven't heard anything from Harry Kane apart from an interview that he did a while back saying that he wanted to leave until he announced that he's now staying. It's all been a lot of conjecture that, oh, he turned up late, it was unprofessional. We don't know whether he turned up late or not.
I would. Now, listen, I know, but these things work. It's agents push. So his agent, which happens to be his brother, or was, I think that may have changed, has been angling for this move and said, don't worry, leave it to me, Harry. I'll sort this. I'll leak some into the press. That's what's gone on, and that's how it works in football. The agent or the club will leak. If the club want to get rid of a player, they'll leak it, and a source will say. So that's what. Dan, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I think he doesn't look great right now. I was genuinely surprised that he got such a good reaction from the Tottenham fans because I did think maybe they'd be negative towards him. I've not lost respect for him in a way, but I think, he doesn't look great coming out of it, does he? You know, you've made your point. I get that he's made his point and that he loves the Tottenham fans, but, things happen.
All I will say is I doubt they'll be singing Harry Kane's One of Our Own for about 18 months.
They did on Saturday.
They did it on Saturday.
Really? I'm surprised.
When he came on, they went, and the Wolves fans were singing.
The Wolves fans were giving him stick.
They were singing. They were singing a song that was Harry Kane. He wants to foxtrot Oscar.
You can say it. You can say it because we're not. It's not for kids, really, is it? I mean,
no.
All right. So we'll leave that. That's the lid on that. Two of us think Harry Kane's made a bit of a twat of himself, and one of us thinks he's come out of it okay. But basically. I think he's slightly damaged his reputation by behaving in the way he or his representatives have had. So let's turn our attention to the Championship. The top two at the moment: Fulham and West Brom, Stoke in third, Coventry in fourth, QPR fifth, Cardiff sixth. Of those top six, there's three teams there that I thought, Fulham, West Brom, and Cardiff would be there. Stoke, nah. Fair middling seed, but Coventry and QPR are a surprise. QPR fairly inconsistent over the past few seasons. They put together a purple patch of form. Dan, I think this is related to the fact they've sold Macaulay Bond. What do you think?
I mean, I think we went through it on the channel, didn't we, before, about how QPR's transfer business, they did some really nice, shrewd business. And when you sign a striker like Charlie Austin to replace a striker that misses open goals, you're going to go well. I think also they've had a reasonably easy start to the season. I think they had Millwall first at home, who haven't started great. Hull, Middlesbrough, who are both still looking to bolster their squad, and then Barnsley. But they've got Coventry this weekend, so that should be a game at the top.
Yeah, Coventry in fourth. Fulham have got 10 points, played 4, won 3, drawn 1. Same as West Brom and Stoke. And Coventry as well. QPR and Cardiff both played 4, won 2, drawn 2. So, and Bournemouth are there on the same points as QPR and Cardiff as well. So, I mean, Fulham and West Brom. No surprise there with those two, is there? Do you think?
I've got to eat a bit of humble pie here with West
Have you?
Brom. Yeah, because in the predictions, I predicted Fulham, Sheffield United, and Bristol City to go up. When I looked at West Brom, I said that I don't think there's too much there. But to be fair to them, they've started on fire. So I eat humble pie. I just hope it tastes nice.
But the thing is, you're eating humble pie, and I wouldn't. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And at the moment, they're just out the starting blocks with 4 games gone. So there's a lot to change. But one of the teams you mentioned there, Sheffield United, find themselves in 23rd. 4 games, no wins, 1 draw, 3 defeats. Scored 1 goal, conceded 7. Hardly the ideal start to a campaign.
No.
Dan, what do you think?
I think their problem is kind of stuck over from last year. They can't score goals. Their strike force is Billy Sharp and David McGoldrick, who are both
Wrong side of 30.
I think quite over 30. I think Billy Sharp and McGoldrick are both past 33. Ollie McBurney, he's a big man, isn't he? And Rian Brewster, who's been shot of all confidence he ever had, bless him. They can't score goals. I know they won in the cup midweek against Derby, but it's not entirely
It's
difficult.
Derby, isn't it? It's Derby.
Their game against West Brom was, we're talking about how West Brom top of the league. They looked like a Premier League side playing a League One side. It was night and day between the two sides.
They seem to have hit a bit of Bournemouth syndrome. They had a consistent manager for a while. The consistent manager left, and then they've gone into free fall. It happened with Eddie Howe. He left, and then Bournemouth plummeted. And I can't remember who the Sheffield United manager was now. Who was it?
It's
I don't know.
Slavitsky of Jukanovic.
Right,
No. Beforehand, who was it?
It was a caretaker. It was the assistant took over.
The one that took him up.
Chris Wilder.
Chris Wilder. That's it.
Chris Wilder, yeah.
As soon as Wilder left, that's it. It's just gone to pot, isn't it?
The problem with Sheffield United is that thing of when you get spanked from a division, you come down and don't change your squad. Chances are those players are still going to have that negative atmosphere that's around them. And in the first game of the season, they had Birmingham City at home on TV, lost again. Your confidence is shot immediately because you're remembering last year that you keep losing.
Yeah, it is. It's like I remember when many years ago. Let's just go back to Lenny Lawrence as manager at Charlton. Charlton got relegated from the old First Division, and Lenny Lawrence about a year or 2 years later came down to a supporters club meeting, and he was saying, "Look, I knew when we came down, I knew that we weren't going to do well." He says simply because there was a horrible black cloud of relegation hanging over the players, and we couldn't do much to change the playing staff. So we had those players who were suffering from that lack of confidence that got relegated. It is like a big black cloud, and you need fresh faces to come in. And as you said, Sheffield United need a goal scorer. To get one of those in the Championship, I don't think there's many about, is there?
No, but in fairness, Billy Sharp has scored, I think, all of their goals so far. I think he's got 3 in how many games they've played, 5, I think, in all competitions. And if you put the ball in the box of Billy Sharp, he will score.
Oh, yeah.
So it might just be that they need, a bit like Charlton, I'll get to the Charlton bit now, a bit like Charlton, you just need someone to get the ball into the forward. And maybe if they can get the ball into Billy Sharp a bit more, goals will come.
It's the service is what Billy Sharp will thrive off, and he'll get you 15 to 20 goals a season, which is what they need, I suspect. Ryan.
You've got to worry about Nottingham Forest as well. They've had an even worse start than Sheffield United. Dan was on here the other week praising Chris Houghton, saying how he'd do a good job. And 4 games in, no points, scored 3 goals, conceded 7. And yeah, I mean, if I remember rightly, last season, Forest sacked their manager after 4 games because they hadn't won nothing. So is Chris Houghton on the way out?
I don't think so. I think they're going to stick with Chris Houghton, but you'll have to forgive myself and Dan for laughing a lot. The Lyle Taylor factor comes into play in a big way, and we're both more than a little salty about that one, aren't we, Dan?
I can't wait to watch him cry in May when they're in League One.
If there's any justice, we're heading in the opposite direction. No, we're not actually at the moment. Let's leave that. Let's leave that one well alone. But yeah, I back Chris Houghton to turn that round because I think he's got the he knows what he's doing, and I think he's a pretty decent. He's a very good Championship manager, and I think they'll improve. And as we said, it's only 4 games, but yeah, losing 4 of your first 4 is not a good start. But I back him, to stabilise it, a couple of draws, and then pick up a win, drop Lyle Taylor, and jobs are good, as far as I'm concerned.
Dan's waving frantically.
They just haven't. They've been no business from Nottingham Forest. I think because they brought Brennan Johnson back, who was hugely successful last year at Lincoln and Blue League 1 apart. I think they thought they could kind of get away with doing not much business. I think the only other business they've done is got James Garner on loan from United again, and a Danish winger from Watford I don't know a lot about. So that doesn't change the team when you've lost Sammy Amiobi, who I know isn't a fantastic player, but gives them something. I think they lost Michael Dawson at the back in the changing room. Tyler Blackett at left back. They lost a lot of players and haven't replaced them. You are going to struggle.
Well, Tyler Blackett, didn't they release?
Yeah, but they haven't replaced him. So that place at left back that they were struggling with, they've now got Gaetan Bong, who's not much better, and they can't take him out because there's no one to replace him.
I would think so. I would suspect that this is a financial. They're dealing with a budget. They're working on a very tight budget, then, aren't they? Really, that's what's doing them.
They're another team, like we said about Derby and like we said about QPR before. They spent money 3 or 4 years ago, repeatedly getting to the playoffs semi-finals by signing players, getting big deals done for £4 or £5 million, like Assombalonga, João Carvalho. There's a few others along the way. Now they didn't get up, and now they're facing the consequences.
Another team I thought would do a bit better so far. 4 games in, Middlesbrough. They've only won 1 of their first 4 games. They've drawn 2 and lost 1. Warnock, he's got a proven track record. I back them to do a little bit better, probably make the playoffs, I suspect. What do we think about Middlesbrough?
But in fairness to Middlesbrough, they had a big COVID problem before the season,
right?
Including I think some of their staff, and then they currently got a big injury problem. So I think they've only got 1 striker fit. They played, I think it was not the weekend just gone at QPR. They lost 3-2 at home, and Neil Warnock said on the Friday only 10 players trained.
Yeah, that's not good.
And then they turned up on Saturday, and of course they lost because you've only got 10 players training.
Derby County, a team we said doomed. 14th at the moment, not doing too bad, but 1-1, drawn 2, lost 1, and doing okay. 5 points from 4 games. It's not bad for Derby when you consider the crap that's been going on at their place.
Yeah. And 2 decent. Sorry, Ryan. Just said like 2 decent points for them. Middlesbrough struggled inside, and they got that draw. And they were unlucky not to draw against Peterborough. Scored, I think it was like the 100th minute of the game when they played up at I don't know what Peterborough's ground's called anymore. Keeps changing.
It's up there. It's near the Chinese on the boat on the river. That one.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, to be fair, we talked about it on the pod that they brought in several old timers that had seen better days, but it seems to have solidified them just a little bit compared to last season. I know it's still early days, but it looks like it's doing a job for them. Dan's prediction of Millwall hasn't started off too great either. I'm sure you're both loving that one, being Charlton fans.
Do you know, I don't really give a dustman's. It's Forest is the team that I want to see struggle in this league. Millwall, I'll take or leave them. I just want to play them and beat them. That's all I want.
If there's any defensive Millwall, they've played sides that are either up there or going to be up there. QPR, Fulham, Cardiff. And the game they got a point was Blackburn, which, okay, they probably should have won. But when you're going to QPR and Cardiff and you've got Fulham at home, you're not going to pick up many points, are you?
No. Fulham absolutely bossing it, though, at the moment. Played 4-1-3. They've conceded 3, but they're scoring 10. So they've scored 10 goals this season. So they're going all right, aren't they?
Well, I did put them in as my favourites. And I did say if they could get Mitrovic scoring goals, and he's got 3 already, I think. So it's looking tasty.
They've got Mitrovic and a youngster, Carvalho, who I think broke into the team beginning of the end of last season, Premier League. Plays in the midfield. He's been fantastic for them. I think he's their leading goal scorer alongside the boy Mitrovic, which just won't surprise anyone.
I think we've. I mean, as I said, it's early days in the Championship, and there's a few teams surprising us in both ends of the table. But what we'll do, we'll move on from the Championship if that's all right with you fellas.
Yep,
no problem.
Pep Guardiola. Let's deal with this now. Today, was it today? Is saying that
I have the quote if you want it.
Go on, go for the quote.
So Pep Guardiola was asked about his future after his City contract ends in 2023. He said, "I've been at the club 7 years, and I think I'm going to have to stop. I'm going to have to take a break and see what we've done in the process. I'd like to train a South American team, maybe a European national side. If there's a possibility, a national team is the next step. I'd also like to play in a Copa America, and I want to experience it all."
Is he angling for when Southgate steps down?
No, why would you want to take the England job?
Well, look at England's forwards.
Yeah, but you could take over Spain and just play with no strikers like you do at your club.
I know. But I think he's done what he'll get a good season this season, I think. But I've seen it time and time again where a manager says, I mean, the first time Fergie said he was going to retire, Man United's form vanished because suddenly the players thought, well, you ain't going to be here in 6 months' time, so I don't give a toss, mate. I've seen that time and time again with clubs where a manager says he's going and the form dives. It's a risky thing to say. Ryan, you've got an opinion here, obviously.
Well, first, I was just going to say, I think Dan's massively undersold the England side there. If you look at the young talent that we've got all over the pitch, don't just look at the forwards, look at our fullbacks. None of them, I don't think, are much over the age of 25. There's still a good 5, 6, 7 years of international football in someone like Luke Shaw. And then you've got like Ben Chilwell, Reece James.
Players he knows well, like Phil Foden, Raheem Sterling, and John Stones, and of course, now Jack Grealish. I mean, I'm thinking, have a chat now for FA. Go and have a word, because if Gareth Southgate doesn't want to sign a new contract or isn't after the World Cup, then let's have Pep in.
Exactly. The list of talent. Don't forget, you've got players like Jude Bellingham coming through as well, and that's just the names off the top of my head. That's without even researching. So,
the only one I think may not be feeling too happy about this is Sancho. You know, he's at Man United. And he left Man City and went to Dortmund. So
he left before Pep was there, right?
Yeah, but Pep will still hold a grudge because he's Man City through and through, isn't he?
Nah, I just thought he'd be available for Spain. I think he'd look at Spain and think they've got young players too. Pedri, Dani Olmo.
I think, let's be honest, this is what Pep does, though. He does a stint here, a stint there, a stint wherever he wants to, really. He was fortunate enough to get the Barcelona job at the very beginning of his career. It set him on a pathway of success. He went over to Germany and had success there. He's come here, had success. So the next step for him is just to go somewhere else after having several years of success and go and try it somewhere else.
I think he's lasted longer at Man City than he did at Bayern Munich, hasn't he? He stayed here that much longer. At Barcelona, you can understand why he spent a lot of time at Barcelona. That is his club. But yeah.
I said on a previous podcast, I don't know if you remember, we were talking about Man City signing Grealish, and I said, I wonder if Guardiola would walk the minute City win the Champions League. So I'm wondering if he's saying, this is my contract, and if I win the Champions League, I'm going. Because he says, we'll look at the situation. I'm thinking if he wins the Champions League, that will be it.
Well, time will tell.
All I will say is I don't think that Man City are going to win the Champions League this year. So he's got, 2 years left before he goes?
That's Pep Guardiola dealt with. Let's move on to now. Ryan wanted this one. Rio Ferdinand's been having a little chat. He's been having a little bit of chat about Phil Jones. Ryan, tell us more.
Well, this is the direct quote from Rio Ferdinand.
I'm liking these quotes. This is good.
He's taken up a youth team player's position in that squad right now. He's had too many injuries. I was in the same team as him. He came from Blackburn as a young kid. Everyone was saying he was going to be this great player. Huge potential, but injuries have absolutely annihilated his career, and then confidence issues at certain times as well. He's never been able to fully establish himself in the team, whether it's injuries, lack of form, lack of confidence. I think he should have gone ages ago. He should have gone before Chris Smalling went, find a new club and play some football.
110,000 reasons why he hasn't gone. That's what I'll give you. If he was that bothered about whether or not he played anymore, and even if the club did try to move him on, the chances are he's on 110 grand a week around. He's not going to go anywhere because he's not going to get anywhere near that, and he's going to sit pretty and sit on that. I know it's a fairly mercenary thing to do, but you're on 110 grand a week and playing for the what? Well, being paid by the biggest club in the world, or one of the biggest clubs in the world. And I've seen it time and time again. They'll sit on the backside and take the splinters from the bench if you're not even on the bench.
Yeah, but is it a mercenary thing though? Because I mean, let's be honest. If your employer turns around to you and
no,
says,
it's not a mercenary thing. It's the way it's viewed.
Right.
It's a mercenary thing.
Right, gotcha.
If he's got an injury record as long as your arm, I mean, he only has to look at himself. He pulls a funny face and tears his hamstring. So, you know, he's got a very poor injury record. If he leaves Man United, he's not going to get anywhere near £110,000. And the chances are he's going to get a contract like 2 years, and it could be even as because of his medical record, pay as you play deal. He's going to sit where he is, and despite what Rio thinks, that's what he's going to go for. Dan?
Yeah, I think Rio's comments, in my opinion, are perfect. People seem to be in outrage, like he said something wrong. What has he said wrong? Phil Jones has not played for Man United in, Ryan, correct me wrong, 2 seasons since he probably last made his league appearance.
I think it's about that, yeah.
As they sold Chris Smalling in that time, they've now sent Tuanzebe out on loan because they couldn't get Tuanzebe in their 25-man squad because they were going to keep Phil Jones, because even when they said to him go for free, every other club went, nope.
I think I'll take it from Rio with a pinch of salt, and I'll tell you why I take it with a pinch of salt. It's because he's been paid to say things. It's like he works for BT Sport. He's newspaper columns. Someone will have specifically. He's been paid to say that. Basically.
No. This was on his very own podcast. This was Rio Ferdinand's own podcast, his own personal opinion,
which he gets paid for.
Argue. You could.
Hello,
well, no,
yeah.
Himself, is he?
No, the sponsors pay for it.
No, he will get money.
But
he'll get money for it. He'll get money for it. He's doing it for money, and he's getting attracting more people to his pod.
I would agree with the argument that he's probably pandering.
Stop
to the
defending
fans.
him just because he's a Man United player.
I'm not. He's not a Man United player anymore.
I'm in complete agreement with Ryan.
I would say he's guilty of pandering to the fans. I'm not sure about him getting paid for it on his own podcast.
Oh, I am.
However, but I don't think he said anything particularly out of place, apart from this. Former players, Trevor Sinclair in particular, took issue with it as speaking out against a mate. And I don't think I agree. I think Rio Ferdinand bang on the money, and the people to blame in this situation is not Phil Jones; it's the Man United board for giving him a new contract.
So rather than have a go at Phil Jones, why didn't he say it? The Man United board, you bang it. But even if the Man United board gave him the contract, and whether Rio or Phil Jones likes it, and Phil Jones isn't stupid enough to go and give up £110,000 a week. And I think it's another fellow pro digging out another pro who's been suffering some pretty horrendous injury problems. I think that lacks class for my money. And don't think for a minute he's doing that podcast for nothing. Don't even think that for a minute. He's not going to do anything for nothing. Dan,
I think you both make points. I agree that he's definitely getting paid for his podcast. Like, it definitely told to talk about certain things. But I don't think this is one. For me, I genuinely, I can totally see that you shouldn't be digging out former teammates and professionals. I get that, but nothing that he said, in my opinion, is false in the way that he probably thinks that. And the majority of, maybe he's pandering to the fans, I'm in complete agreement that Phil Jones is wasting his own career, and clearly he's happy to waste his own career. At the end of as you said, it is partly, you can easily blame the Man United board, and maybe they should have mentioned, hey, it's the Man United board's fault. But if Phil Jones wanted to get out, he has been offered the chance to leave for nothing. Man United said to him, you can go. And he said, no, all right, I'll stay here.
Because he's going to get nowhere near the money he's getting now. And also he's just catalogue of injury after injury. If you're sitting on £110,000 a week and you're thinking, I can go and play 40 games, because let's be honest, he's going to go to a lower-end Premier League club or a Championship club. And the Championship, 40-odd games, he's not going to get through that, is he? So I just don't think it's right, another professional digging out another professional. And I get fed up with some players. Not Rio's always spoke his mind, but I get fed up with the likes of Paul Scholes. Never spoke to the media in his career. Avoided it like the plague. TV company come around and say, yeah, here's a few quid, have this. Oh, yeah, I'll talk 9 to the dozen. Oh, look at me, I'm Mr. Chummy. No. And another one I'll have is Roy Keane. Get him off the international thing. He shouldn't be there. He walked out in his country. I will never, ever listen to what that man says. I'll show any respect for him. Yes. Carry Ryan, sorry.
Going back to the Phil Jones bit.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was getting a bit salty there, wasn't I?
Yeah. What I will say is I think from Phil Jones's perspective, I don't think if he leaves, he's going to get another club because we've got a situation with Jack Grealish at the moment, who's been fit now for about... Yeah, sorry, did I say Grealish? Sorry, I meant Jack Wilshere, who's just been released by Bournemouth after a year of being there, not being injured, but nobody wants to take a gamble on him because of his record.
So why doesn't Rio knows that. He knows football. He's in and around football. Why has he not worked that out? It's the same. The situation for Phil Jones is the same as it is for Wilshere.
Because he gets the monies for making debate. It's how podcasts work.
It is, yeah. We don't get, I'd like to point out, we don't get a penny for this.
If he gets controversial opinions and gets hits, the more hits he gets, the more of this his podcast brings in.
So let's not be having Rio Ferdinand. He's clever. He's not daft. Man. Yeah, he's not daft. But it's unfair on Phil Jones by Rio Ferdinand. Rio Ferdinand should have had a pop at the board, and not Phil Jones.
But on the still, he's not said. I agree that maybe he shouldn't have gone in and made a comment about a player. I haven't heard the quote, so I don't know if it was a question or a comment that he made on his own. But from just about the facts of what he said, are completely true in my opinion.
The facts are true, but whether or not you speak those facts so bluntly, and the big thing is, did someone on that podcast ask him the question? But then if he's the host, it's his podcast, so I would suspect, I don't know. Ryan, have you heard the podcast?
No, I haven't. I've only taken the quote from that article and listened to them talk about it.
Quotes taken out of context can sound horrible, like that one does.
All I will say is I've heard the audio for it, and that is exactly what he said. I didn't hear the question beforehand.
That's what you need to hear. What the conversation is leading up to that.
I think the only thing that he got incorrect was the fact that Phil Jones is taking up the space of a youth prospect, because I don't think Phil's even registered as a player for this year. So I don't think he's got that quite right. But I don't think anything.
Yeah. I just look now. Phil Jones is on your 25-man squad.
There you go.
Is he in? Okay,
he's in the 25. So the manager clearly, Solskjaer clearly is, if Solskjaer really didn't want him, surely he's not going to be in the 25. Maybe Phil Jones is not the person that Rio needs to be having a pop at. The board and now possibly the manager as well.
I agree.
Right, should we move on?
Yeah. That was getting feisty tonight.
No, that's good. Yeah, that's because we're all salty about different things, aren't we, Dan?
I'm just salty about everything. Doesn't just to throw it in there. Tottenham are playing tonight, and Harry Kane is starting. So,
wow, okay. That was over very quickly, wasn't it?
Tottenham's Euro qualification game. He's playing in some stage whilst we're recording this. Yeah. So,
are they playing Ferrero Rocher again?
They're playing Ferrero Rocher.
Ferrero Rocher. Yeah, the ambassador gives the most wondrous parties, I tell you. Mbappe. Now, a bid was made by Real Madrid. There's a couple of things about this, and Ryan raised this, and I think he's going to dive straight in on this. But 160 million pounds, it's gone up to 170 million pounds. Ryan, I know where you're going to start with, because first of all, ignore the fact that whether or not the player's worth it. You've got more questions in light of other things that have gone at other Spanish clubs, haven't you? Really?
Well, no, it's just my confusion is where has this magical lump sum of money come from? Because my understanding is Real Madrid are very much in a similar situation to Barcelona. They're not as bad as Barcelona, but from what I've read, Real Madrid are rumoured to be in debt to the tune of 770 million pounds. So where have they magically come out?
Can I put that figure a different way? 750 million.
Right, exactly. So where has this money come from that all of a sudden they can go, okay, we can spend up to 170 million pounds on a player that is available in 12 months for €0.
Dan, what do you think of it all?
Yeah, I think as it proves the fast that is the financial fair play system, isn't it? It's something that I think we could debate as Football League fans, especially me and you as fans of the club in the lower league, lower league football in general. You know, the financial fair play is a joke, and Real Madrid are proving it because we know that 170 million. They will just say on their paperwork that it's coming in from Champions League revenue, TV
shirt
revenue,
shirt sales, commercial, this, that, and the other. Yeah. They'll write it off like that.
Yeah, and UEFA will go, yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah,
but then clubs like Rochdale spend 200 grand on a player, and it hit with, oh, by the way, you can't sign anyone for a year.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah. You're spending far too much. We're not sure who your owners are. Have a transfer embargo. Go on.
Yeah.
The Football League love a transfer. UEFA need to start. They need. That's it. The UEFA or FIFA, somewhere along the line, someone needs to grow a pair of testicles. Ideally me. Someone needs to grow a pair of testicles.
You've got one.
I've got one. I'm halfway there. But someone needs to grow some balls and grab this situation. Because what happens is UEFA make a ruling, and then Paris Saint-Germain or whoever, or Real Madrid or whoever, Man City, go and hire the top lawyer, paying him absolute spondulics to go and defend them in the court of arbitration. And the court of arbitration sit there and say, yeah, no, the clubs have got a point, which renders UEFA, FIFA, the FA, the Football League useless. I'd render the Football League pretty useless anyway.
Don't forget, this 170 million is just the fee. That doesn't include his wages or anything else.
Bonuses, yeah.
Exactly,
Image
that's
rights.
just the fee. And it's just like everyone was saying when the pandemic hit, oh, this is where the financial bottom will fall out of football. Really? And then several weeks later, Jack Grealish has gone for 100. Man United have signed Sancho for 75. And then Real Madrid are like, oh, look, I've just found 170 million quid in my pocket. I'm going to go and buy a
Paris Saint-Germain have spent a fortune. I know there was no fee involved, but they have spent a lot of money to get Lionel Messi, a 33-year-old player whose legs aren't going to go on for much longer, Dan.
Hence why they're in talks to sell Mbappe. But anyway,
get their money back. Yeah.
As of Fabrizio Romano, he says Real Madrid have made a bid of 170 million euros guaranteed with add-ons. So those add-ons,
what?
With add-ons. So obviously, I don't know what 170 euros to pounds is. Hang on, I'm telling you, 140. They're going to pay 145 million pounds with add-ons. Before you get to, sorry,
this is insane. I'm sorry, I've got to cut in here.
This is the club, £750 million in debt.
Please. Only last week we were talking about spending £100 million on a 33-year-old and that being too much. And now they're going to spend almost 200 million euros on a 23-year-old who's almost out of contract.
And
what is going on?
And the whole part of that deal will probably tip them into debt to up to that £1 billion mark.
And can we just add on to the fact that Ronaldo is now looking to leave Juventus and
Man
he's
City.
on about
Man City.
70 million euros a year gross. That's before tax. And they're talking about him going to Paris Saint-Germain to join Messi and everyone else.
That's changed now, isn't it? It's now that he's on to Man City.
City now. How does that feel for a Man United fan? Let's saltiness. Here comes the saltiness. Here we go.
He's been linked with Man United as well today. Apparently, he now wants to come back to Manchester United because he can't go anywhere else.
Can you afford him?
Can you afford him?
Yes. This is the thing. People talk all the time about finances in football, and they talk about Man City are funded by a state. PSG are funded by a state. Real Madrid and Barcelona seem to have empty amounts of cash.
Real Madrid are funded by a state.
Because the Spanish government just wipe it off. What a lot of people don't realise is the Glazers get a lot of stick from Man United fans for the money they take out. But no one mentions the amount of sponsorship money that the Glazers have brought into the club.
Glazers didn't pay one single penny for that club. You
know
that.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah. The Glazers have said, no, let me finish. Do you know how much debt Man United have hanging over them that the Glazers borrowed from the club to buy the club?
Yes, no, I understand that. But what I'm
Oh, my
saying
ears off.
is they've also brought in so much revenue from sponsorship deals here, there, and
No.
everywhere.
There
That Man
was
United,
no
Man
before the
United have got more
Glazers
money
turned
than you
up.
think.
Before the Glazers turned up, that money was flying in left, right, and centre anyway. The Glazers have just quadrupled your debt so that they can
Yeah,
take
but
more
they've also
money.
quadrupled.
No.
If you look at the finances, they've also quadrupled our income because they have basically sponsored and sold everything.
They walk away tomorrow.
trust me.
I would
they-
argue that they have made more money, but
Thank you, Dan.
it's hard. But the reason it's like a middle section. They have made money, but that's the world that we're in now compared to the world when they bought the team.
Yeah.
Everyone is sponsoring off everything now. It's going to make money.
It's not just them. It's just they saw
Yes.
an opening, but
my
they bought
point
that club
is-
for nothing.
Yes,
Well, I
but my
didn't know
point
that.
is Man United have still got more money coming in than they've got going out. That's how
But-
it's servicing the debt.
But the thing is with Man United, if the Glazers decide, we've had enough of this, we can go walk away. You're going to be left with a massive debt. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, but the thing is,
but that will be cleared in next to no time because every time there's even a hint that they want to sell, there's a £3 billion offer coming in from Saudi Arabia somewhere. Man
The two
United
things-
makes so much money now; it's servicing its own debt.
the two things to remember is one, as Ryan just said, they're going to make someone is going to spend the money to buy a Manchester United Football Club to say you own it, and two, as we've already discussed, their debt is irrelevant because everyone else goes, it's fine, you crack up your debt, we'll leave you to it. Debt means fuck all for big clubs.
And someone comes in and buys a little League One club, takes all the money out of the club and runs away scot-free. I'm not mentioning anyone's names, Charlton.
But yeah,
No, but
so can Man United afford Ronaldo? Yes. Are Man United going to buy Ronaldo? I doubt it because he doesn't fit the philosophy that they're going for.
I don't think he'd fit. I don't think he's the player he was.
He's not. He's a goal poacher now.
And I'm also of the opinion you should never go back. I can vouch for this from a couple of girlfriends of mine. You should never ever go back. He had his day at Man United. He needs to go somewhere. He needs to go into Miami or something. But
if I was him, I'd see out the last year of my Juve contract and then go back to Portugal where they're going to worship him like a god.
I don't see him going to Man U. I genuinely don't see that happening. Dan, what do you think?
To Man United, no chance. But I don't think that's from lack of his side. I think Man United
don't want him.
And even then, if they
so we've just been arguing about Man United for nothing.
Right. Let's go back to Mbappe. Sorry, Dan. Finish your point, and then we'll go back to Mbappe.
I think Man United wouldn't do it as a football club. I personally, if I was Man United, I'd do it. I know that it wouldn't fit their system, but if you get a chance to bring Cristiano Ronaldo back, do it. Especially because the one thing I saw a Man United fan over the summer, not Ryan, I will say, but a Man United fan I know who said, "Oh, we shouldn't bring Ronaldo back because of how old he is, blah blah blah." And then we're getting excited when they rebought Cavani, and Ronaldo's twice the player Cavani is.
Right. Hold on. Well, first off, let me say Cavani's 2 years younger than Ronaldo. We've only got Cavani for an extra year, and we're not paying the 70 million euros wages for Ronaldo. Cavani's not earning anywhere near that sort of money, and the fee for Ronaldo is supposed to be 25 million euros as well.
What was the mad Swede on? What was the mad Swede striker on when he was at Man U? You know the one. What's his face?
Ibrahimovic.
Yes, Zlatan. Yeah.
He was on about 250 grand a week post-tax.
It's just that for me, over the years, the last 20 odd years, Man United do have a history of now and again, getting stopgap players, which is what Ronaldo would be. Let's not muck about.
Yeah, he would be.
I mean, they had Laurent Blanc from France. Laurent Blanc from France. There's a few. We
brought Henrik Larsson. Cavani's the same. Cavani's the same thing. But anyway, going back to Mbappe, do we think this deal is actually going to happen? Because I think this is a heavily structured deal of money that they're offering. And it's just a way to say, right, well, when your contract runs out, Real Madrid tried to sign you then, and PSG said no. So we'll take you on a free and we'll give you all the money that we offered PSG.
Dan? I think he's going.
You think he's going?
I think, again, it sounds silly, but as you mentioned earlier, agent power seems to be so strong, and Mbappe's word. And if you're PSG, I know you can afford to let him go, but if someone's going to chuck 170 million euros at you, take it. that
I would
pays your
agree
Messi
with
deal
that.
off.
Sorry, I would agree with that, except for they rejected 160 million. So surely if someone offers you 160 million for a player who's in the final year of his contract can leave for nothing, you'd bite their hand off, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
surely.
you should
but
do.
you should do.
But
But
Also,
yeah.
but the thing is, we don't know at the time, what I haven't seen, it's 160 million euros, but was it 100 million euros and then 60 million if he wins the Champions League?
Was it installments and was it?
Yeah,
How is the
supposedly-
deal structured?
The current thing, the one that they got offered today is 170 million euros.
170 million euros.
Add-ons.
With
So they're going
add-ons.
to be guaranteed 170 million with add-ons. I think they take it. I think it's one that I don't know when the window shuts in Spain. I believe it's the back end of. I think their one ends in September, so I think they've got a little bit of time to do it. So I'd see it happening. At the end of the day, PSG, it's not like they're going to be short on talent if they lose Mbappe.
I'm not sure if it'll happen, but we'll know. Well, we'll know in the coming weeks, fellas. That's pretty much it for this evening. Next week we'll look at something. I'm sure I haven't discussed next week yet. We'll discuss that later between us. But we're all a bit salty tonight. I've noticed.
I'm not.
You're just generally salty anyway, so it's all right.
Cholton made a signing today.
I know, a loan signing.
And one of my close friends is still trying to argue that we're going to sign.
Who have you signed?
Jack Wilshere. Elliot Lee. From
Elliot
Luton.
Lee.
Rob Lee's
Son of Rob Lee, ex-Charlton Turnstile operator and sometime player. Who Gary Nelson says was the most gifted player he ever played with. So,
well, while we're still filling dead air, I've got to ask one question. As
Steady
you're
on
both
now.
here.
Go on.
Jadon Sancho, all
Go
this talk of Messi and Grealish and Kane.
Yeah.
Do you think he's got away with the pressure being less on him,
Yes.
given that so much money's been spent on him that he might have just sort of snuck in and
A little
quietly
bit.
put himself down?
A little bit. I think Grealish is the one that's captured everyone's imagination this summer in terms of coming into England, and the deal for Messi. And so, but I don't know. Dan, what do you think?
I think now, no, because of the deals that are going on. However, if in 6 months' time and we get to January, December, January, February, whatever, and he's still, well, not still because that's not the right word, but if he's not shown a lot, then pressure will come back on him. I think for now he's got away with it, but not long term.
Do you think he's good enough to rise above that pressure, though, and to demonstrate his ability? Ryan,
Okay, go on.
Good. No, sorry, Dan, you go first. I'll follow after.
I genuinely believe he is. I think he's a real talented player. I know the Bundesliga is seen as negative, but you do get a lot of pressure at Dortmund. You're chasing down Bayern Munich, and in the big games for Dortmund in the cups against the Champions League against Man United, against Man City, and against Bayern Munich, he showed up. So I'm fairly confident he'll start.
I'll be honest, I know precious little about. I've seen just clips, highlights. Because as far as Germany concerned, I either want to hear the Mainz goal music or just want to see how Hertha are getting on. Ryan, your thoughts on Sancho?
I definitely think he's got the talent.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely got the talent. I think he's proved he's got the talent already. I think it's how he beds in. I'm a little concerned at his lack of playing time at Manchester United. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's made some odd decisions. He's paid £75 million for Sancho. What was it, 40 odd million quid for Varane? Neither of them have started a game, I don't believe.
But neither of them had a pre-season.
Yeah, I think
Euros.
that's not a bad thing. I think it's good for them, a chance for them to settle down amongst their teammates. Liverpool used to do this back in the late 70s and 80s. They'd signed a player and they wouldn't play him for months. I can give you a list of Liverpool players when they signed a new player. They wouldn't play them. The only exception really was Kenny Dalglish. But they'd let them bed down and get used to being in and around the squad before playing them in such a high-pressure environment. So
Yeah,
and
Ryan Babel, Andrei Voronin.
No, I'm talking about Liverpool in the 70s and 80s, not the panic buy Liverpool of the late 80s and 90s and early 2000s.
I understand what you're saying, but can you really say that about Varane, for example? You're talking about pressure. The man's a World Cup winner, a Champions League winner. That man knows pressure. He should be starting.
But as Dan says, he came back late because he had the Europeans, and he's come back and he's had very little pre-season, a bit like Jadon Sancho. So maybe they're just holding them back while they get fitness, and they're going to get 20 minutes, 30 minutes to start building it from there, hopefully.
I would be shocked to not see at least Varane this weekend.
Well, my biggest concern now is we've just lost McTominay, so we've got a midfield of Fred and Matic.
Phil Jones can play defensive midfield, just 110 grand a week. You might as well.
He used to.
To make it even worse, the lad that they're dubbing the next Michael Carrick, we've just given him a new contract and sent him back to Nottingham Forest again. So we're down to 2 central midfielders. Ollie's got a lot to answer for, especially after the Southampton game. I've got to say, team selection was bizarre.
Ollie out.
No. I'm not saying Ollie out. I just think he needs. Think he needs to look at himself because we started the game. We started the season with a 5-0 win. Whatever happened to the old adage of "don't change a winning team"? And
Doesn't
then
exist anymore.
That's not existed in years. That's not existed in years. That adage.
How can you justify squad rotation after one game?
Yeah, it's true.
One game, you can't.
Oh, it's true.
Greenwood was the main man up front against Leeds, was fantastic. So what does Ollie do? Bring in Anthony Martial and chuck Greenwood back out on the wing.
While we're on the subject of Mason Greenwood, is he injured?
No, I don't think so.
All right, no, stop there. How the hell does that Muppet Bamford get in the England squad in front of him then? Bamford is barely a Premier League player, let alone a fucking England player.
Oh God, this pod's gone off.
I mean, right. I completely agree.
I do not. He's not. He's not good enough. He's an okay player. He's never. Are you telling me for a minute he's got? No, I'm not having it. And Southgate's going. We're trying to protect Mason Greenwood from what?
No. I think the thing was was it Greenwood and Foden? I think it was. They breached COVID regulations.
Yeah, but they got Foden back in as soon as they could, and Mason Greenwood would have been. Mason Greenwood would have gone to the Euros if he hadn't have picked up an injury. You tell me now that Bamford is better than Greenwood? No, you can't, can you? I'm right, aren't I? I'm right. Yes. It's as bonkers as the FIFA rankings. That's all I'm saying on it. Bonkers.
By the way, listeners, we've lost Dan. Dan's gone. He's a complete wreck on the floor.
Sorry,
no, Bamford isn't as good as Greenwood.
I saw that sodding headline come up on my phone that said Southgate the plum has picked the pillock, and I thought, well, what's going on here? It's just no. What's going?
This is well worth listening to. I think I think Southgate has concerns over Greenwood's attitude and professionalism, and I think that's why he's not in the squad.
I've got concerns with Bamford's ability. He hasn't got any. This is about as much use as a fart in the thunderbox.
Tune in next week to Salty Thunder's podcast.
Right.
Does he play for Charlton?
Well,
the one thing before we go, I just want to make a point, a different point. The Champions League draw was today, and I want to know,
go on.
How do Man United consistently get that draw that they always end up with?
Why? Who have we got?
Always Villarreal, Atalanta, and Young Boys. Where? Liverpool have got so Chelsea have got Juventus, Zenit, and Malmo.
Liverpool got PSG, haven't they?
No, Man City have got PSG.
Oh, Man City have got PSG. They can swap notes on how to avoid financial fair play, can't they, Bellocks?
I'm trying to remember. So that Man United got that group. Liverpool have like group of death. Again.
Who have Liverpool got?
They have Atletico Madrid, Porto, and AC Milan.
I'm salty as hell, I tell you.
Man City, PSG, Red Bull Leipzig, and Club Brugge. And Patrick Bamford's going to sign for them and score a hat-trick.
Yeah. He couldn't score a hat-trick with a wet... No, don't get me
That's a tough group, actually, to be fair to City, because Leipzig aren't a pushover.
And you've got to play Young Boys. Great.
Bamford in England.
Fantastic, I know. That's amazing.
Bamford. We're playing Andorra, he'll score. It's fine.
To be honest, I wouldn't bet on anything with our central midfield of Fred and Matic. It's not going to be pretty.
I told you, got Phil Jones can come in. It's not a problem.
We're going to have to call up Hannibal. This is going to get well interesting.
He got sent off the other day.
I'm not surprised.
Right then. It's all kicked off tonight, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Last thing on the Patrick Bamford front. We are playing
Andorra. We still got... What?
We're playing Andorra, right?
I couldn't care if we were playing Pandora. He's got no place wearing that shirt.
To be fair to Patrick Bamford, Francis Jeffers once wore an England shirt and scored.
And Jay Bothroyd. I saw the pair of them.
Jay Bothroyd as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a couple of others. Right, now, okay, this is a Jeff Thomas. I'll give you Jeff Thomas right here and now. Just Google Jeff Thomas miss against France, Crystal Palace player, and you'll see how they threw away caps. Hatton, Carlton, Eden Palmer, another one.
And dear listeners, if you've enjoyed this tonight, stay tuned, because in a couple of weeks, for the first time in years, we're all going to be together in the same room doing an extended podcast. So if you've enjoyed this, stay tuned for that one.
Harry Kane's just scored.
Sorry.
If you want to get in contact, if you let us know who you think the worst England player ever to wear an England cap was, let us know. What's the email address, Dan?
And if you say Chris Powell, I will come for you personally.
Yeah, if you say Chris Powell, I will gut you like a fish. Right. Dan, what's the email address?
footballthunderspod@gmail.com.
There's a reason we're called Thunders, and you've just been listening to why. We all have opinions, and I spent the last 10 years at football behaving myself, and Dan will tell you it's so not me. It's unreal. So I'm letting rip now. I don't care. Thanks very much for tuning in. You'll be able to get this. You know where to download it from, here, there, and everywhere. We'll be back next week with more. With more saltiness, I would suspect.
Yeah, Charlton would have lost 2 games by then. Would be out of the Johnston Paint Trophy and have lost the crew in the league. So it's fine.
The glass is never half empty, half full with him, is it? Have you know? I don't know where he gets it from.
I'm a fan of Charlton Athletic. We don't do positivity.
I suppose, yeah. And you know why you're a Charlton. You knew why you are a Charlton fan, didn't you? Because at age 5 or so, you started showing horrible signs of becoming a Man U fan. So I thought, right, he's coming down the Sodding Valley. I'm not letting him have any joy in his life. Right.
I will be here ready to insult Fred and Matic when they stink the place out.
And in the next pod, we're going to discuss the funniest thing you've seen at a football match that you've been at.
Oh, God.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Dan Finch wins.
Well,
Dan Finch wins hands down.
No, Dan knows where this is going, I suspect.
Yeah,
I look forward to this.
I'll give them a tip. My one includes someone falling down a hill. So we'll leave it there and you can wait till next week.
Ryan, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Dan, thank you very much.
Cheers.
Do you want some pepper to go with that salt, lad?
I'm all good, mate.
We'll speak to you again soon. Well, it's Patrick Bamford. It's got me eccles up there. It's really can annoy me. Right, see you later. Goodbye, and we'll see you next time on episode 7.